4 Chicken McNuggets for just $9.95 every day.
Quite yet. In they go, closing the traps. That's the last breath. And Chiefs are looking for the big fee here. It's still not over. I can't believe it, Bryce. And it looks like they're going to jump. And he's going for more. The double kill for the Jinx. Order cannot be stopped. This is just absolute destruction right now. And all of a sudden, Mimic comes to the party. He does get a massive stun, and that turns it right around. You've just got to give an absolute standing ovation to the heirs apparent of the OPL.
Welcome to the League of Legends OPL Grand Final!
4 splits, 4 titles. They cement their legacy as the OPL Kings.
Hello, welcome to day 1 of week 9 of split 2 of 2019 OPL. I am Nick Boy Richardson, and I am wearing a beanie because I have not been told that I can't wear it. And by gum, you will come in here and rip it off my beautiful head. I am joined by Rusty and Bryce, joke name Paul. I believe is...
Yeah,
there it is.
Sick, okay.
There you go. How are you, boys?
You're out of content, bud.
Well, no, see, I didn't know that the joke name thing was going to be a thing. Because I just was given the joke names. And then you saw it that it's a joke name. And I was like, cool, we'll just call you that.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be removed, but it made it all the way to the live broadcast.
Made it all the way. I mean, this
Sure.
is what we do. It's been a bit of a weird afternoon here
Yeah.
at the OPL.
It's been a little bit weird. Some teams delayed, some weird weather. Thank you, Mother Nature, for that one. So, bit of delays here on the OPL. So, we got to play some Nick Plays League prior.
We
So,
did.
Feeling real good about that, actually. We smacked them.
Yeah, because in terms of the delays, right, what happened? 2 teams had to go via a different destination. Gravitas had the best time. They've made it straight to Sydney. No, I'm getting a shake of the head.
Order had the best time.
Order had the best time.
So Order was only delayed 45 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And that's the
Whereas
best time.
Gravitas were delayed 3 hours,
And
three and a
then-
half hours.
Yeah.
And then Bombers and Mammoth have come to Sydney via Canberra.
What? No, well, I saw Euphoraz, the manager of Bombers.
Yeah.
He was tweeting, and it looked like a rural plane going to somewhere, I'm forgetting the name, that wasn't Canberra.
Oh, really?
Because Mammoth have gone via Canberra, and they hopped in a car, and they're driving up.
Because, well...
And they just road tripping to OPL.
Well, I
They're
walked
hoping they
past...
get here.
So they were going to Canberra. I walked past some of the riot stuff here, and I just heard them go, so we want Mammoth to just hop in car and drive here. They've got 3 hours, they'll make it. And then 10 minutes later, someone walks in and goes, okay, so the 7 people with Mammoth, none of them can drive. And it's like, right, so do we hire a car? So they're in a cab.
Yeah.
They're taking it's the dream.
It's a
City to city
chauffeur
cabs.
trip to Sydney.
So, I was thinking about this as well. Even if they could rent a car, how's the car get back?
No, but you can drop it if you get it from like
Like
whatever
a
brand.
yeah,
you
right,
just
right,
drop
right.
it at the same brand in like
Yeah,
Sydney.
okay, yeah,
Because I almost did that from Melbourne when my old car just died and I was literally leaving the state. I was like, well, I can just go like airport to airport, drop it off Melbourne to Canberra, and then you're all good.
Well, it's an exciting time to be alive. So we're starting later. We hope that you can settle in and enjoy the evening. You're home from work. You're ready for some OPL. And we have a great day lined up. We are
Yeah.
barreling towards Super Week next week, Gauntlet Week the week after that, and then Final. So everything is heating up. Let's take a look at the schedule for this evening. First up, it is Chiefs versus Direwolves. Then we've got Gravitas going up against Mammoth Legacy, take on Order, and Bombers versus Avant. Gentlemen, what are we looking forward to today? What has the most potential for a shakeup?
Oof, I mean, the first game will be interesting to me. But honestly, I'm looking at a lot of this with momentum in mind. So Gravitas were hot on the trot, right? They got like 4 of the last 5 games, and they got smacked by the Chiefs in one of the biggest shellackings I've seen. And so I look at that, and it's like, did they reset momentum? You know, they're still really good coming into this next week. AV broke their loss streak, so like, is there any momentum for them?
Yeah.
And Order, I feel like somewhere in the middle. I don't know exactly what Order I'll see on
Maybe
any
they've
given
got
day.
momentum from the lack of delays today.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
all the
good
TFT,
news for Order
you know.
today heading here.
All the twisties they've just been chugging, the
Yeah.
pillows up their shit. Maybe they're
Getting into late night practice for
Yeah.
a different game. What
maybe
could
they're
possibly
good.
go
But
wrong?
yeah, like the league is kind of shaped up, and you do have like the top 3 right now in the Mammoth, the Chiefs, the Bombers, and they just want to like have that separation, and then everybody else is really like the 4. 2 teams at 8, 2 teams at 6 are just fighting, as you mentioned, like AV on the up and up, like maybe after their loss streak, Gravitas same boat. Like all of these games really matter, and then you do have like tough opponents, right? First one off the bat, talk about Direwolves versus Chiefs. Chiefs have just been on an absolute tear.
Yeah.
Or like now they out and out first place. They smacked Mammoths. They're coming off like back-to-back 2-0 weeks. They've looked very good. And then for Direwolves to be like, we just need to keep beating these teams so that we hold our gap, our extra 2 points. It's definitely an important game.
And I think Chiefs are legitimately terrifying because, like, we've seen that iteration of Chiefs that we saw last week occasionally. It's usually like they'll lose on the Friday, they'll come in on the Saturday, and they're angry.
Yeah.
Like, then they'll just beat down the person they play on Saturday, and you're like, oh, I hate to see that many weeks in a row. Like, that could just win the OPL.
Yeah.
But then for a whole week, we saw it. So maybe there is some consistency there, and they're really coming into their form at the perfect time of the season.
Absolutely. Well, we cannot wait to get into game number 1. We will be heading there in a second. Before we do, send in your Nickbad suggestions to asknickboy@gmail.com. We'll be answering them throughout the weekend. Questions about anything you want. Travel stories, travel advice, considering today that has been the topic
Whether it's
around the office.
In the air, by the sea, on the road,
Any form
any
of travel.
form of
Any
travel
form
advice.
you want. All you need to do is top that question about working in a butcher as a small girl. And like,
Getting
how
put
can you
on the
stop being
shelf.
put on meat hooks? So you just need to come up with a better question than that. And while you think of it, check out game number 1. It is Chiefs versus Direwolves. We're going to throw it over to the desk. And the Macca's Champ Select with Spawn and Pulse.
Thank you, Nick Boy. And it's been a long time coming. Doing MPL first was a bit weird. I feel like it's already the end of the show, and now we're just starting it.
Yeah, it's been a strange day. Do you know what else is even more strange? Who
What's
sits
that?
on this side of the OCS? Is this Bryce?
Not you.
It's not Bryce. Who was here yesterday, Bryce? Vandy. Vandy commentates with no production volume. I'm not talking about a little production volume. I'm talking about the production volume was on 0.
Are you talking about production or program?
Program. Yeah. That's weird, isn't it? How do you
That
hear
is
the
weird.
game?
Yeah.
Can you hear yourself?
Did you change your settings yesterday, Jim?
Do.
Yeah.
You always do?
Do you turn it up or turn it down?
Wait, what are we talking about? Production or program?
Oh, like anything.
Well, I turn it up. I feel like Jake has his volumes at disgusting
No,
levels.
so what I do is I have program, which is myself, I think, or the game. I have
Yeah.
the game really high and myself really high.
Yeah.
Because my secret is I don't want to listen to my play-by-play caster. So I generally just put myself as loud as possible. So when I speak, it's all that fills
That's
my
funny
ears.
because I do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we're a good pairing.
It is why we're a good pairing.
Because neither of us listen to each other.
Just a
Fantastic.
synergy. Yeah, but it was a weird day because I'll take you through my day, and I think it would be the mirror of a lot of teams' days. I got up at 7 a.m. and it is bucketing down rain in Melbourne, and I'm like, this is going to be bad.
Okay.
Then I start driving towards the airport, and it is literally the most pleasant day ever. It is sunshine. It is like no clouds in the sky. It's beautiful. And I'm like, how did we go from like tsunami, like torrential downpour, like monsoon
End
season-esque
of the world.
weather, yeah, to they were saying there's going to be hail and snow in certain areas,
Yeah.
to like beautiful weather, but that's just the north of Melbourne, right? And then we get there and we're like, well, thank goodness we dodged that bad weather because we'll all get to Sydney on time. And then we hear the crappy Sydney airport of the worst town in the whole of Australia is reduced to one runway. And apparently Mammoth got on their plane and then we're told to get back off their plane because their
Oh,
plane wasn't going
wow.
anywhere until 5 p.m.
That's
a big delay.
So sad.
Yeah, so now we're in this mess. However, none of these teams impacted for it, which is why I think they're playing first Pulse. And this should be a banger.
Yeah, we did change up the schedule somewhat, and hopefully some teams that are still en route can get to the studio, and we'll see if they can. make
Brandon
it.
looking fresh. If we could go back to Claire, I don't know
Yeah.
whether we actually have the ability for it. He is looking very fresh.
I dig it.
He's spectated a couple more games than I think he would have liked recently. Claire's actually one of those old school, really proud players, like quietly confident in his own skill. Certainly would be looking to get some dubs on his record at the moment. Needs to be able to smack get back here because the scariest Chiefs at the moment, I feel, is with Claire playing, but it's with Claire playing well. He
Right.
plays the likes of the Aurelias to the LeBlancs to the control majors. I feel like they do become a little bit more one-dimensional with Swiper in the mid lane, but Swiper has said it's the communication. So obviously they know exactly what they need to work on, and they're giving Claire every opportunity right now to work on those things and, try and elevate that gameplay.
It does feel like it's just different shades of good, though, right? For
Yeah.
the Chiefs, it's just like, oh, what a good problem to have when it's literally just like, what iteration of the roster do we use
Absolutely.
to smack down our opponents today, right?
Yeah, and I think we've seen an iteration that is outright just the best team in the OPL right now. Then we've seen a couple of iterations that are 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But when you're comparing, best team versus best slash second best, that's still a pretty good problem to have.
Yeah.
And as I said, everything we've heard from the team is really, really positive. It's not like we're making these changes because we have to. It's like we're making these changes because we want to. We feel like
Yep.
it makes us more rounded. And they're going up against, in my opinion, and Curtis has kind of said this himself, a pretty linear team. Pretty aggressive early game team. They do like to play strong solo laners.
Yep.
Like pretty 1-3-1 into collapse team. So I'm interested to see how they try and pull the Direwolves apart today.
Yeah, for sure, and interesting to see what the Direwolves do and whether they just stick to that. And it's just like, well, we're this late into the season now, and when we're competing with other people around us, why not just stick to our strengths, you know, and see
Yep.
what the methodology is behind that. In terms of bans, we've got Yumi, Gragas, Saz in for the Chiefs, Corki, Ezreal, Corki, Lucian rather, and Karthus from the Direwolves. And we've got the first 3 picks of Northus Azir and Sivir here from the Chiefs.
Yeah, and they're going to have Ezreal, Renekton, Talia locked in on the other side. That's really crazy with the Talia. I expect it's going to be Raze in the jungle playing that because it hasn't got the best matchup into Azir. I mean, certainly playable. You can fight for the shove, but just gets grossly outscaled and puts you on a clock. You have to be really active early. However, Renekton Talia is just such a potent 1-2 punch. Empowered stun into Flick is guaranteed damage of like disgusting proportions early game. I think we actually saw the Bombers play it with Ryoma and Wilder picking them up, and they just chain CC'd into kill after kill in the mid lane. It gets to the point where then you just don't even have to take anyone to Renekton because he is one of those old school champions. Renekton with gold snowballs so much quicker because his one item spike is just gigantic.
Yeah. It's all about getting to that point and then riding that wave as long as you can. And then some Renekton games, you get it like 30 minutes and you're like, oh, I am a stun bot.
Yeah, well, he's kind of that old school snowball of you have to stay half an item ahead. And he doesn't actually get outscaled until, you know, you're at 6 items and then they get to 5.5 and then you're like, well, this feels useless now. But with Spirit of Shojin, with the cheap components coming together, like BF Sword is such a nice base for him. You know, the cooldown reduction on next base also gives him like a big spike as well. I feel like he's in probably the best space Renekton has ever been in. And really smooth power curve, you know, very good levels 1 to 3, then good on BF, and then kind of good until, you know, the 4-ish item mark.
Yeah, for sure. I think there is a lot of nuance though in like how those power spikes work, right? Because yes, it is linear, but like in different ways. It's not just like I run at you and like I do more damage. It's like that's the places in which I'm strong is slightly different.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think maybe a bit of a better team fight on the flank, given how League of Legends historically was a front-to-back game.
Yeah.
And if you play front-to-back with the Renekton, he's kind of crap. He's just a big meat shield, right? But with this new version of 1-3-1 into Collapse, maybe a little bit better than we thought he would be, you know, with Flash, with the double dashes, and maybe even some one-shot potential at certain points in the game if you read your spikes really well. I think he does a better job than a lot of people would have thought. And when the fight breaks down into the 2v2s and the 3v3s gets scrappy, I think he's really good. So I'm interested to see whether this is something they continue. And it's actually not going to be a Talia jungle. It's going to be Talia for Get Back.
Yeah.
That's a little bit crazy to me.
It does change things somewhat with the Lee Sin coming in. I mean, like, the burst potential is still there, but it's not the same, like, mixed damage flick, one-shot combo that we were just talking about.
Yep.
Looking towards the Chiefs, though, hovering the Kled. Seen that a bunch from Swiper recently,
make a lot of sense.
actually.
Yeah, he's actually... So Kled, historically, is one of those champions that if you feel like you're going to get camped top lane, really, really good. The dismount mucks up a lot of combos. The half a second invulnerability, things that would normally one-hit you, like LeBlanc, like things like that, just don't work against Kled. Obviously, this Renekton Talia combo on a roam, or, you know, a Renekton into Lee Sin Q isn't going to be able to do the same thing. So I feel like Swiper is really comfortable in these kinds of matchups. This is going to be a weak side Kled, and I feel like they're going to play really heavily around their scaling in this game. This is a very old-school Chiefs-esque draft.
Yeah, it's something a lot of people don't think about, and like how combos work, and they're usually just dumped on like a single frame or a couple frames, and that just completely messes up because you've got to calculate when he's going to dismount, split your combo, and then follow up. And for some champions, that just doesn't work. So yeah, love the pick a lot. Been a long time Kled fan, and Skarner found a pick for the Chiefs.
On the flip side, Direwolves comp, and you know, if anyone's followed Order historically, is actually a comp that we ran a lot. So I can speak about this comp pretty in depth because you've got one of the best 1-3-1 comps in the game. You got mixed damage side laners that both collapse the team fights really well, a global ultimate to be able to help with that, and in my opinion, the strongest trio in the game. Ezreal Braum fights for priority over mid lane wave. What I mean by that is they're able to get the push safely against any trio in the game, and Lee Sin is better in the early game, so protects them really, really well.
Yep.
This comp wants to get into 1-3-1 on Ezreal's 2 item spikes. He's going to have brown bags as well as the Manamune into the Frozen Fist, and then he's just going to park himself mid lane. He's going to be protected by Raze, and they have a really good gank squad when they team up in that trio and look to attack. You know, either Biopanthers or get back lane. They do, however, need to play at breakneck speed. Like, this is a game where they clearly get outscaled, but they should have some choices early game.
Yeah, which is, you know, interesting to play that into a team like the Chiefs, you know, like stylistically. So definitely a bit of a, you know, a declaration there of what they're looking towards. And joining us on the table today, it's going to be Vault. How are you doing today, sir?
Thanks very much.
All right, talk to us about this draft and how you're feeling about it into Direwolves.
Direwolves had a very clear plan into us, I think, to deny us our bot strength. So they have really strong late invade bot side. They're really strong just early pressure in general bot side with Talia priority. Renekton is like a solid champ to pressure top, but I think it's more likely they're just going to try and attack our bot this game. So I like their plan. I think our answer into it is just to outscale them, and they're probably not going to be able to run us over early, I think, but see how it goes.
So talk to me about this. Is this a draft read? Is this something that you guys identified through their previous games? Like, how do you go about actually preparing for a team like the Direwolves?
Direwolves are really flexible. They play a lot of stuff. Like, Raze sometimes is on early champs, and sometimes he's on, like, the Sejuani. So it's more just like adapting to how the draft goes. We're prepared for virtually everything.
We're going to hold your thoughts there because they've just walked over a ward, I believe.
Yes, they have.
Getback's going to find Raze, and Raze is going to bait into the rest of his team.
Okay, so not all that much happening. A little bit of a
Everyone backs off.
swap.
Literally only Raze has
Really
shown
holding
so
my
far.
breath. Okay, so outside of that, we've seen you guys play incredibly fast. Like Direwolves S comp, I would say this is a pretty quick comp out of Direwolves. You've played a couple of yourself. This is a very slow comp. You've got pretty much like triple control champions in the Sivir, Azir, as well as the Skarner. What's it like to have the flexibility? You seem to be able to play both styles.
It's nice. Obviously, we prefer to be like the early game team at the moment. We've seen shown a lot of early game stuff, but we have to be able to be flexible. You can't always just say, okay, we're going to win bot and go hard early, because they can draft something like this where they have reasonable late invade bot and they can have mid priority to attack bot. So we're not always just going to be able to break bot turret at 14 minutes. So it's sort of necessary. And it makes sense that they forced us off of it, but I think we're pretty comfortable as a team to scale as well.
Yeah, and you've coached a couple of games for a couple of big esports organizations within Oceania. You now made your move back over to League of Legends. Looking like you're going to go pretty comfortably into the MEO at the moment.
I hope so.
What has your year been like returning to League? Has it been fun for you?
I've just enjoyed it so much. I didn't realize how burnt out I was on League when I was coaching 2 years ago, because from Season 3 onwards, I virtually watched every LCS game to sort of get myself into the competitive scene, and then doing 2 years of League and just going full on with that alongside uni as well was just really mentally tiring. So finishing uni and doing some other stuff like Overwatch for it was quite nice for me. And then I came back to League and it just felt like I was like coming home, you know? Like it's been a long time away from home. I was getting homesick and I just came back and it felt really good.
So what did you do at uni?
I did commerce.
Commerce, very nice. And Melbourne boy historically?
Yep.
I believe. We tried to get him over at Order. He denied us, but...
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I've really enjoyed you being back in the scene because I think you've done a really good job.
Thanks very much.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us and best of luck.
Thank you.
Known Tim for a while now. Obviously, was on the Chiefs around the time that I was friends with a couple of the boys over there. He's one of those coaches that kind of doesn't give all that much away on the camera, but is very, very respected by the playing group. Really, really good. Oh, all right.
I should have kept him for another 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You know?
He said he's going to lose bottom lane this game, so he had to play scaling as well, just for everyone at home. So maybe not that good of an analyst. But yeah, I mean, I've really enjoyed him coming back to the League of Legends ecosystem because obviously, yeah, he did spend a year away, as he mentioned, and I think one of the better stories of coaches coming back.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, you're right. You know, sometimes we just don't get to hear a lot of those stories if it's not happening on camera. You know, like one of the biggest things for me when I was in the LPL was like I looked at a player called 957. And I was just like, I really do not see like why players are talking so much about him. You know, and then like they literally go on the biggest tear of all time, pulls out 3 different champions and just makes a run to Worlds. And you're like, okay, you know. But you don't see a lot of those workings as it's happening.
Yeah, I was a huge 957 fan as well. Played his way through the LSPL. Raz and I used to talk about him a lot. I think he's one of those really good examples of like, if you're in the hardcore scene, like kind of like the end. If you knew about the OCS and you knew about the fact that he'd been in the Chiefs house for a while and he had been studying the game, and he played a couple of scrims, you were hyped for him to play the first game. If you're a Chiefs fan, you're kind of like, why did they bench Swiper?
Yeah.
But like then you watch him play and you're like,
You're
wow,
like,
the Red
okay.
Demon's got a little bit of skill, right? So yeah, big fan of players like that as well. And I think, yeah, you're right. One of those guys that's a little bit unassuming, but really, really top guy and top analyst, top coach behind the scenes.
100% agree. That's going to be a blue buff steal there as well. And yeah, I mean, you know, talking about like scaling into the later game, bot lane loses. This is bottom lane control here from the Chiefs, invading with Skarner into the jungle, taking first blue buff, I believe, away from Direwolves as well. So this is just utter dominance in the minion wave, going to find the dredge line onto Totoro as well, and Chiefs are still pushing in this wave.
Yeah, they certainly are, and I think they're just trying to look to expend resource under this turret so they can hit quite freely. Swiper might be in some trouble up here, though.
Yeah, it's about getting out this mount first, though. Misses the Q. It's going to be awkward. Takes the tower shot as well. Get back in the top lane as well. Trying to clear out this minion wave. Try and get the tower to start damaging these divers. And the aggro split is good, and Direwolves will get out of this one. A little bit awkward for a second, but good juggle in the end.
Okay, so that's a really nice adaptation, because we heard that they want to hit bottom lane. We kind of saw that coming as well with the Ezreal Lee Sin, one of the best gank setups in the game. However, they do make the swap after First Blood goes down, and they instead rotate some of that pressure into the top lane. I was going to mention about Skarner. Kind of underlooked in Skarner's kit is he's the quickest clearing tank jungler by like a long way if he has Spires up. So he's kind of good into picks like Olaf and things like that, even though it kind of seems counterintuitive because of the ults. Just because he does keep tempo or pace of the jungle at a pretty good click to some of these other fast farming junglers. Also a little bit strange that Lee Sin left his blue buff up because he does enjoy jungling with it, but I think Razor's done a very good job of prioritizing camps this game. He's up in CS experience and down in CS, which means that he's really taken the big camps away and done a good job of that.
Yeah, of course, this is the matchup with two Rays. So we're not talking about the jungler. And speaking of the other Rays, in bottom lane, in a pretty good position. Got that first kill himself, actually, onto the AD carry. Gone back, picked up the double longsword.
Yep.
And you can actually just see like straight up control of this wave. You know, like where Ezreal is CSing with Mystic Shot.
Well, that's the thing about the Ezreal into Silver matchup. As Ezreal, if your support can blow the spell shield, something like a Nautilus on the flip side, you can actually have some good kill threat. However, definitely is Siva's wave to control. What I mean by that, if Siva starts hitting the wave, she also ricochets onto you, so it does a little bit of damage, not all that much damage, but you have to hit the wave back, because otherwise she just out-pushes you and you get in situations like this. So you can see that Katsuru's been looking for harass, and what Razor's just been playing completely against the turret, has himself biscuits, has himself the refillable potion, so he's just going to keep making Katsuru play against the wave. And look how far up he can catch it right now. This is just really, really well played from Raze. And when you start doing this, the windows to actually punish it become smaller and smaller. And if you don't kill, then you start losing turret plates. And turret plates have been such an important addition to the game for champions like Siva, and as well as Azir, to be like, if you don't fight us back in this regard, no longer do you lose half a turret and it's okay. You lose half a turret, it's like 360 gold, you know, 320 gold. Like, it starts stacking up a lot.
100%, and I feel like this only helped a team like the Chiefs, who have been so dominant in the early game, you know, getting to push those towers, get the plates, massive gold injection even without getting kills, and that really just snowballs the early game. You hit first fight, and suddenly your opponent's a half item ahead of you. Makes a huge difference. Mid lane, trading back and forth. Advantage to Azir here in this matchup. CS lead here as well. Top lane, as to be expected by a Panther with the CS lead after that first gank and the 3-man dive onto Swiper, but you know, as we were saying, getting into this game, it's really just you know, what we're expecting, seeing Swiper being the weak side of the map.
Yeah, very cheeky there from Only. He's going to, against kind of priority, take himself the Dragon, and you can see that Claire kind of thought that that was going to be an invade onto his blue buff, because he's gone back and grabbed double rings, and you wouldn't do that unless you thought that you were going to be playing the early game without kind of that necessary mana sustain on his ear. Ocean Drake should help him out a little bit. I didn't quite see what it was going to tick over to, but
it's not the Ocean.
Yeah, that will be very good for Chiefs if they can pick up double Ocean. I feel like they really want it on their comp, which is going to mean their laning phase can go forever.
Yeah, which, you know, Direwolves coming to is going to feel a little bit bad about, you know. It's just like trying to hit that early game hard and double Oceans to start. Swiper once again getting ganked on top side. Full health, but about to be de-scarred in a second. Flash comes out, but yeah, I mean, that's just not knowledge of how Kled works right there, and Raze will waste the flash.
Raze certainly thought that that was not going to go that way. Okay, Swiper has 2 auto attacks before the remount. See whether he can actually get in range of anything.
He should have pocket pistol stacks. Oh, that's good CC lock. and get back will get the kill.
Yeah, really nicely done there. So obviously Kled's remount prioritizes. If you hit champions, it gives you more. Kills give you the most.
Yep.
And then hitting champions,
Damage to champions.
CCing creeps,
And
right?
turrets.
Yep. Obviously, this is going to be a little bit of a gank into the bottom lane.
He's going to give it a shot. Does have Predator and Flash. Going to take the Grump in the meanwhile. And we can try and find this hook here, but Dire was putting a lot of damage on top lane tower, and this is actually pretty much gone, even though his hyper resistance is right now. Bottom lane, going to get the knock up onto 2. Katsuru is low. Ayla trying to get in range, but the last auto attack managed to find him. I think that was a ricochet, and Totoro going to fall here to raise as well. Another 2 kills, 3 kills to start the game here on the Sivir.
Yeah, now just not worth it. They've traded equal turret plates across map, but they've given it all to Sivir, who is such a good scaler when you compare it to something like Renekton Lee Sin. Not to mention the fact 2 kills for 1. And they got a turret plate mid lane as well on Get Back's roam. Claire's done a really good job of pressuring Get Back by continually shoving the wave. Should be able to get themselves a Herald here, which is very important against an Azir. You want to be able to use it, drop mid lane. However, if they do come and contest this, there might be enough time.
There's a chance, yeah. Kleda's already here. Azir can rotate from mid lane down to 3k. Morpheus is still a ways off though, but Swiper is looking to contest here. Jumps onto Raze. That was a score by Direwolves, it looked like, and now Swiper under attack. Dismounted, in comes Clarion from the mid lane. Ayla rocks up to the play, but now this is a full retreat. Actually looking for the Dreadflies only, comes in the top side. Claire finds the Emperor's Divide here onto Totoro, and he managed to pick up the Braum.
Yeah, really nicely done there. However, bottom lane turret stayed alive. Raze teleported, backed away from that one. Didn't think he could get it, so in the end, a pretty big win for the Direwolves. They're down gold right now, but they do pick up the Rift Herald. They should be able to get a charge onto mid lane here as well. So all things considered, probably better than it deserved to go. However, now Dive coming in on the mid lane.
Yeah, looking for the follow-up punch here. The Chiefs. Raze is coming into the mid lane as well, but Get Back already CC'd. Good kick out from the Lee Sin, right into Claire. He tries to just go for the suicide play, doesn't get the kamikaze kill, and in comes Katsuri from the bottom lane, flash over the wall, Biofan for chasing down as well, and this is now disaster for the Chiefs.
Yeah, and really nicely played there by the Direwolves. We said they have to be willing to go aggressive early. That's the kind of play that I'm talking about, you know, sack a bottom lane wave. Sure, Swipe is going to be able to grab that gold, but now all of a sudden, with 2 members deaf, should be able to start pressuring this mid lane turret, although they decide not to use the Herald here.
Wow.
Instead, they're just going to let Raze clear that one out. A little bit interesting.
Yeah, what do you think could be the reason behind that? Because, like, you know, in 9 out of 10 games, that's you get kills mid lane after a botched dive here from the Chiefs, and you're like, drop Herald, take tower.
Yeah, potentially want to generate another team fight, right? One of the easiest ways to generate a team fight is show on vision and walk into a lane with a Rift Herald, and you have to respond to it. Sure. You have to start fighting for priority. You can't just let it go down. They know that they've got so many flashes. In fact, there's no flashes on anyone on the Chiefs right now. So if they, instead of, you know, dropping Herald, set up around the Dragon, you know, heavy setup around bottom side, use this teleport that is available on Biopanther to try and generate one of those team fights that we've been talking about, on their spikes right now, should be able to run over the top of the Chiefs.
Yeah, now they're on a timer though. We've got roughly 2 minutes until Herald actually expires, so we'll see if they actually go for that. But you would feel like that would be the case. Now 12.5 minutes, and as you said, Dragon spawning in 30 seconds from now. Ray's going to take this Rift Scuffler.
So the reason it's even more confusing on Lee Sin is because for team fights, you need to have a ward available. So he's not going to be able to drop that control ward before the team fight, because otherwise he's going to just suck. Lee Sin without flash or a ward, like legitimately garbage champion. Removes all the utility from his kit. So you can see they certainly want to fight this one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder if he's going to save the control ward as his one ward hop, but just place it down in enemy jungle. Has a shallow ward, so no. And Dragon now spawning. Dial's already here.
This is what the Chiefs are so good at doing, right?
Moving top lane.
What is your play? Your play is to go for the Dragon, try and entice a team fight, and get some turret plate mid. Okay, how are we going to counteract that? We're going to run into your topside jungle. We're going to seed pressure everywhere. We know you can't drop a mid lane because our Raze is so much stronger than your AD carry. So now this has to be a drop bottom lane. And mid lane turret is so much more important than bottom lane turret at this stage of the game.
And they just managed to pick up Katsuri on top of that. Now they will take another couple plates here in the mid lane. And yeah, Chiefs out of that. Yeah, Shelly's pushing the bottom lane. Swiper in this 1 versus 2.5 situation. We'll have to back away from this.
But still, they can't get anything done in the mid lane. You see right now, Biopanther trying to push in, although Totoro.
Totoro in a bit of a fight here. Skarner actually looping round. If he has the path towards topside, would have been caught out there by the Skarner gank. And mid lane tower's going to drop here from the Chiefs when Direwolves had Herald.
Yeah, very interesting game so far, I think, Holes.
Interesting, yeah.
Direwolves have took some good shots, and I think a couple of them have landed, but Chiefs kind of the master at navigating these tricky situations at the moment, from my perspective, and come out the better of a couple of very good areas where the Direwolves should have been able to generate some leads. So certainly Chiefs deserving of the gold lead so far. It is only 1,000. Most of that, actually, all of that is on Quinny K. Actually, it's just on the bottom lane. Everywhere else is down in gold. Like 1,600 for the jungle in favor of Direwolves, Rays, you know, a couple of 1,000 in favor of Biopanther. But then you look at Quinny K, he's 2,000 up himself. And then kind of 1,500 for the support as well.
Yeah, floating 2K at the moment as well. Sat on Essence Reaver. Actually want an inspiration here as well. We'll get the free magical boots.
Free ass boots, really good.
Yeah.
If you think you're going to have an extending laning phase. Also, kind of doesn't really value attack speed because Ricochet's an auto attack reset, and then you kind of just rely on your boomerang blade. This build, even though it is outright just the best build right now, was kind of popularized by Uzi. When RNG used to sit Uzi mid and just turn him into like the hose that got both Raptor camps and both Wolf camps. This was kind of the build that he used to go to do that. You know, no early boots, and kind of suits Chief Razor's playstyle, I think.
Yeah, I would say so. Has definitely been that player who's been soaking up farm and gold wherever he's been going these last couple of games we've seen him. Bottom lane, swipe up, you know, permanently just the weak side of the map, trying to absorb pressure in this 1 versus 2. This time he has only here though. Walks in and walks the tower. Katsuri also rotating to the bottom lane, still trying to get this tower as fast as they can, and the Direwolves will manage to pick it up. This is in the tower here in bottom lane.
It's, however, a split map. You can see right now that Biopanther has to cede control, and it's going to be the Chiefs once again just walking down mid lane. Direwolves can threaten right now because they have Get Back's ultimate, so Ray shouldn't be sticking around here. No vision in that bottom side. Should be kind of moving towards that top side of the map. However, very greedy here from Rays. He's going to be able to get majority of that turret.
Majority of the tower and an extra minion wave on top of that as well. Has also completed the Infinity Edge off of that gold buy, so this is quite a big civ.
Maybe you can't tell your ulti onto him anymore because you just get one hit.
Yeah, it might just straight up die. Sivir is now at the point of just one-shotting waves. And Ava walking to the jungle. Biopanther actually looking for this, moves towards the top side, instantly suppressed and just taken out. Raze looking to follow after this play, potentially. Totoro going out the walls and now backing away with his AD carry.
Yeah, and you can't go for that play because no guarantee you're going to be able to pick up a kill. Ayla still has ulti available. And once again, the Civ is just sitting mid, putting you on a clock, making sure that if you lose this team fight, they might even be able to crack the base at only 17 minutes in. So instead, you have to play the numbers, play it a little bit more safe. Biopanther already fell down. And Chiefs really doing a great job of making the map big. We talk about this a lot, but they're
an open world game.
Farming everything right now.
Razor stepping up to Raze. Finds a red buff. Comes over the wall. Smites hit. Oh, spells, shields, the flash, dragon's rage. And Raze will just walk it off. Only looking for a potential ultimate here. Swiper jumps in, throws down the ultimate. Claire just trading up against Katsuri and winning against the AD carry. In comes Raze to try to help out his AD carry, but now he's getting turned around on by the Sand Soldiers. He'll just kill Katsuri as he walks through the Sand Soldiers as well, and that'll be another kill going over to the Chiefs.
Yeah, and that's such a crazy play coming through from Raze. There's a hook on for Ayla. Not sure he wanted that one, but we'll get away with it. Kicking a spell shield up ready, Sivir. Not sure I'm a huge fan of that attempted play.
Yeah, I would say Raze has had a couple unfortunate plays this game. We actually had the animation go off on Kled top lane. Didn't get it because he was dismounting. Unfortunate. And then again, yeah, goes for this. There's plenty of reaction time as well if you use the Sivir because it's a ward hop. And yeah.
It's not only that, Lee Sin actually has quite a big, if you play with noise up, quite a big wind up on his kick.
Yep.
So obviously he kicked flash to try and cancel a lot of that animation there, but it still gives you the big cuckoo to be able to respond to. Claire on a flank here, really nicely played, has to use the flash at the end, then kind of just sheer weight of numbers chase the rest of the Direwolves members out, which is really strange because I feel like at this stage of the game, Direwolves should be outright winning fights. Katsuri is very, very strong right now, has the upgrade as well as boots and Iceborne Gauntlet. This is when I said he was really strong. As you can see, the poke there is just really oppressive to be able to deal with. You know, they've got themselves the Renekton, who's a much better early game carry, as well as, you know, Lee Sin Talia. They do their best work around this stage of the game. So the fact that Chiefs are winning team fights even now, Pulse, is kind of a big warning sign for the Direwolves.
Probably more than that at this point, you know. You would say, like, this is a game that's, I'm not going to say unwinnable, but when you're looking at, like, objectives for how you're going to win the game and your opponents who are going for scaling are significantly ahead of you and the Sivir is 4-0-2, you're like, okay, well, now we need to reevaluate and probably look towards a different way to win this game now because it's not going to be snowballing in the early game.
Yeah, and I think, like, they still do have win conditions, right? In the side lanes, they're certainly much stronger. Swiper's fallen 30 CS down, as well as a couple of turrets. I think it would be more than fair to say at this stage of the game, given the fact that he's been playing weak side a lot of it. When you have a look at, you know, kind of how Direwolves are able to collapse on these situations.
Trying to catch up the Sivir in the mid lane. This time, Wall managed to put him down. Too many spells for spell shield. Swiper teleports in and will ult away. Charge in the opposite direction.
And I mean, they let Swiper go there. They didn't want to continue the fight, didn't want him to be so healthy. And Direwolves obviously know they're playing with the clock in this game because straight away they just head towards this Baron. They're going to look for the 4v5 turn.
Yeah, I mean, literally as we were having the conversation, they make the play that they probably have to get the pick onto the AD carry. Chiefs looking to contest though. Baron down to 4,000 HP. Ayla stepping up to the pit. Get back, tossing out the pebbles. In comes the Emperor's Divide. The front line's pretty much collapsed here from the Chiefs. Panther tries to get into the back line. That's a big call to Meek and get 3 kills. Only getting chased down as well. And Direwolves find themselves a near ace as the only member surviving. Raze just respawning.
Yeah, and that is going to be the ace for only one person dying. Now it's on Raze. Can he contest this Baron in a 1v4 scenario? I mean, he's got the items for it if we're going to be realistic. And the health bars are not all there for the Direwolves lineup. And it looks like he wants to give it a crack.
Yeah, this is potentially scary. This is a potential quadra we're looking at right now. Tossed out the Boomerang Blade. Good block by Totoro, but he's tanking the Baron right now. Down to 1,000 HP. Raze stepping up by Pan. Tries to get stunned down, and he does. Through the Sivir spell shield. Gets the kill. Gets the Baron of Direwolves. Very much back in this game.
What a turnaround from the Direwolves. That is a 5,000 gold swing in the last 2 minutes. They get the perfect pick with the Talia wall. And this is just majestic. I mean, you have a look at it. You know that they have to get onto Claire. Otherwise, he's going to eat them alive in the pit. Watch Raze. Gets into the back line. Able to get a very nice kick. And then Biopanther, you know, with those items we already mentioned, just so good at this stage of the game. Only without any members of his team left alive, is just going to be chased down. And it's a very good play from the Direwolves, netting themselves at Baron, and kind of netting themselves control of this game.
Yeah, and you know, it's probably one of the first times I looked at Direwolves to split, and like when you were having a conversation of, well, they've got to do it like right now within this window, and it just happened instantaneously. You're like, wow, that's a play that you make if you're one of like the top 3 teams right here, and Direwolves, that's exactly what they needed to do, and now in a perfect position, you know. Built up the lead that you would essentially have if you had that snowball from the early game. So Direwolves in a fantastic position now, 22 minutes in, pushing into the enemy jungle, getting this deep vision down as they still have this Baron looking for these towers.
And now this is where the Chiefs are normally really good. You see Talia in the bottom lane. They know red buff is also up, so you see they've got Swiper standing behind the group. They bait out Totoro's ultimate as well. Really good group there from the Chiefs. No turrets really under threat. Now will re-invade into their jungle.
Easton connects to Q. They're backing it up. We're just trying to break this mid lane tower. Chiefs are still strong enough though where it's really awkward. And when you have a Sivir, it's still a lot of wave clear. First Baron buff. Still able to clear out the minions pretty efficiently, but the wall is going to probably be enough here. Very much needed from Get Back and well played. This will be the mid lane tower.
Yeah, and that's why taking the tier 2 bottom lane turret was so important, because if Azir has side wave control, he can sit at that turret all day, right? He's not going to be threatened by that. Well, if it is just going to be a couple of members on the rotation. But because Direwolves can push in bottom lane so far, they already had top lane slow pushing, building a wave. They had a little bit of time to be able to collapse all 5 members there, cut off the chokes, and come from behind, which Azir really doesn't like, especially if it's something like a Lee Sin. So really well played from the Direwolves there. And kind of what I said, this is a team that obviously knows what their comp does quite well, because the windows that we've been able to identify, kind of the limited amount of plays that they've had, they've looked for. Chiefs out-traded them in a couple of them, but in the last few, Direwolves have seemed really on top of the game.
Absolutely. A bit bleach, you can kill it. And right now, you know, Direwolves definitely putting it to the Chiefs, who, remember, last week are now out and out first place, managed to take down Mammoth and have shown themselves just to be straight up the strongest in the league. So for a team like Direwolves who are in this very much race in the middle of the bracket here, a win over the Chiefs would be enormous for this team.
Yeah, it certainly would be. And let's not forget that it was only a couple of weeks ago that when players were getting interviewed, they were like, this is the closest split of the OPL ever. Kind of anyone can take it. Sure, Mammoth are playing really well right now, but they have a lot of 50-50 games, and we've seen those two shades of the Chiefs, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Friday Chiefs versus Saturday Chiefs was certainly a real thing in the mid-season. We had a couple of weeks of pretty heavy topside games. You know, only really Bombers letting down the top three in those games, losing any of them. Mammoth kind of losing to the other members of the top three. But right now, certainly showing that it is still a very close season here.
Absolutely. Now sieging down the mid lane here, Direwolves, but to that point, we were talking about it pre-show, you know, there's a possibility for up to a 4-way tie, which is insanity.
I mean, if Direwolves win this game, you would nearly kiss that one goodbye, right? Because that means that Avant or Order or Gravitas are also going to have to beat someone like the Chiefs or Mammoth to now get back into that control. But because Avant has already played two of the bottom teams in Gravitas and Order, and were only able to pick up one win, you know, you would say the rest of their season is quite difficult. Obviously, Order is a team they should beat right now because they are above them on the ladder, if you want to use that as a metric. But they kind of have the hardest run home. You'd say Gravitas and Order certainly still looking for that momentum. Gravitas found a lot more of late. And then Direwolves, they're kind of the enigma in the group. Because you look at this Direwolves roster with Raze and Totoro, and you're like, they should be able to contest the top teams. They might even be able to win it, right? But then Get Back, Katsuri, been very inconsistent, I feel, this split. However, both having a fairly good game this time around.
You know, in my opinion, I think Katsuri has become more inconsistent as the split's gone on.
Yes.
Like, at the start, you know, I was just like, well, I don't think I've seen a bad Katsuri game. And then I think, like, the last 3 or 4 weeks is when it's really been back and forth.
I mean, it kind of happens if you change your support, right? Like,
I
don't really blame the rookie. Support changing from someone as much experience as Totoro into Corporal, then back to Totoro.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't happen without reason within a club. Direwolves, you know, wanted to reward Corporal's good performances in the OCS and in scrims. But I think that kind of did have a negative impact on Katsuri, all things considered. I think that's a fair comment to make now. And hopefully starting to find some of that brilliance that he showed in the first, you know, 3 games really of his rookie season. Yeah,
because they were indeed monstrous. But I will say, I feel like this is the strongest iteration I've seen of the Direwolves. The hook is onto the Lee Sin, throws out the depth charge onto Braum. Shield comes down, and the rest of the DPS on top of him. Raze will collect that kill. And Direwolves, that momentum's definitely been stopped. Oh, has it? Because the bottom lane Get Back and the Biopanther sieging on to the inhibitor. Swiper looking for the potential to go in, though, as his team is rotating, and he has the charge ready to go. Only is in position for a potential impale. And Ayla, this is a big, wide flank, and a trap has been sprung. Get Back flashes away, but right into the arms of Nautilus. Hopefully that wasn't for the players and just us, as Biopanther jumps into the backline, tries to get the kill onto Race. Got a lot of damage right now. He will collect the kill. And Swiper chasing after, but this protection's huge right now. He will eventually get put down by the Emperor of the Sands, but still putting out a kill there.
That's a 2-for-2 trade. On a 5v2 collapse,
killed Ayla too.
They've killed Ayla and Raze and used both their teleports. That is a huge turnaround play from the solo laners of Direwolves.
Honestly, I mean, yeah, managed to get the completion on the Sojourn before that fight, moving now towards, I think that those were just the pickups as he went back after he died. And once you hit that power spike, I was going to talk about it. Like, you have these kind of what I like to call unicorn situations with Renekton, where you're allowed to use your abilities on multiple targets, and you will just kill everybody.
And that's exactly what we saw. So let's take a look at this. They've picked off mid lane wave on the push and on the bottom. This is a good play. They have to call it. But just a beautifully timed flick from Get Back, picks up Ayla, and then Biopanther. I think he also gets the flash out of... No, Raze didn't have the flash, so he just had to walk slowly away. Swiper trying to peel for him. But I mean, can't even really question, you know, Only and Claire not coming back, because otherwise there's a, you know, area where Get Back turns around and kills everyone from the other flank. Yeah. They needed multiple members to be able to take down Get Back, who's 4-1 and 5. And that's just really well played from Direwolves.
Yeah, and specifically, you know, Get Back and Biopanther, that was just like pure mechanics and knowing what they could do in that situation. And because of that singular play, Direwolves still maintaining control over this game. And now that Baron's up, we've got Dragon in 15 seconds. And even though they were getting caught in the mid lane, now still in a great position. Raze is again stepping up in this mid lane, but this is anybody's game.
Certainly is, and kind of the trick here is as long as you see Chief raise, you know they're not on Baron really, unless it's a snake. That's a click.
Dredge line onto Ayla. Oli gets a suppress onto Get Back, and they found the carry in the mid lane. Totoro jumping back, trying to juke downwards, flashes the wall. Katsuri leaves the rest of his team, moves down mid lane. Claire throws out the ultimate, but he will eventually take out the Ezreal. Meanwhile, in the backline, only trading off will get that first kill. And Lee Sin down into the Resurrect here in the Guardian Angel. 3 versus 1, tries to jump away, but that will be yet another kill, the Conquering Sands. 4-4-1 here for the Chiefs.
And this is the danger of trying to team fight a Chiefs esports club that has the Azir as well as a Sivir exactly where they want to be in the game, right? You just lose the fight outright. You're going to lose yourself an Infernal Dragon as well as that Baron buff. But that once again was on a knife's edge. BioPanther turned around to go back bottom lane as that fight was starting. If he was there at the start, you feel like that could have been a completely different story there, Pulse.
Yeah, 100%, but you know, history only remembers the winners. That will be Baron going over to the
Can we just
Chiefs.
check out Ayla quickly, please, observers? That would be really funny. Yeah, it doesn't have a Baron buff by about half a second.
Just respawn.
Just let's be it, man.
Yeah.
Just hold the. No one's even alive on the map.
You don't need to nuke. Rest in peace. Yeah, a little bit unfortunate. Would have liked it. Ultimately, may not be the hugest of deals. I believe
probably not.
Infernal was also picked up there by the Chiefs off of that play. So
yeah, Quinny
quite
Kate
a
went and
big
picked that
swing.
one up. He's a monster right now. I think it's fair to say.
He is, yeah. And we can see that one again. So yeah, opening up here onto Katsuri. He jumps away and opening up the Kled ultimate.
Yeah, and I mean, you see BioPanther, he actually was taking Scuttle Crab while his team was fighting. I feel like you can't do that against Swiper's Kled, because he does like to get in amongst it quite quickly. And right here, this is what I call Lee Syndrome. So Lee Sin goes in, jumps, gets an auto attack, gets another couple of auto attacks, lands a Q here, but is out of energy, so I can't follow the Q. Definitely would have killed Claire, but was not to be their false. So certainly going to fall down, and that will be the Baron going across. BioPanther kind of gave him false hope with how much damage he was doing. Always blame your top laner, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in a situation like that.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a bummer there to be BioPanther, because honestly didn't hit anyone until like the last 1/3 of the fight. Like ran back with the team expecting to disengage, like was never really doing any damage. So it was essentially a 4 versus 5. Unfortunate, because this is now a swing back in the direction of the Chiefs in terms of gold, and it felt like from what little lull we had in the mid game where Sivir was trying to find her feet once again, as Get Back comes in, throws out the wall, goes into the Zhonya's, and the fight is on. Suppressed down onto BioPanther, Totoro backing up, but the Emperor of the Sands gets his first look towards Katsuri, trying to duke away from this one, but he's chased after. Swiper connects the Q, but it's 2 quick kills over to the Chiefs, and it feels like what hope there was may just be over as Claire definitely says that is so, as he kills the AD carry. Totoro and Get Back duking up to the top lane, but he will go down as well, and Get Back now in a 1 versus 4 situation. And he's now dead. Claire just getting another kill onto the carry. A complete clean ace here from the Chiefs.
He certainly is dead, Pulse.
Yes, he is, Spawn. And the Chiefs, was it really ever in doubt as they take the win at 32 minutes?
And you know, I would say yes. I would say a really good patch between about 19 to 25 there for the Direwolves after a back and forward early game. But kind of what you said, you know, funneling into Azir Sivir comp, you know, not respecting Swiper on the roam. Just a couple of lessons there for the Direwolves players that maybe not as familiar with the old school Chiefs Esports Club that they need to take a look at. Swiper, the king of sacking side lane farm to just engage mid lane, and I think that happened a couple of too many times.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, I watch Direwolves and I see the moments of brilliance, right?
Yep.
Like, I watch a bottom lane play that's legitimately a 2 versus 4 and you get 2 kills, and it's just like, okay, well, this is still a game that, like, Direwolves are very much, like, here to win, but then there are just, glaring problems as well in the mid lane. That's kind of what separates the top 3 teams from everyone else in the league right now. Completely
agree, and, you know, this isn't to underestimate how well Direwolves played that game, but, I mean, they kind of get the perfect engage, you know, Talia wall across mid lane, you know, Renekton in the fight, and then what is it? It's moments of brilliance from people like Raze, who flashes forward towards a Talia, dodges out on the damage, or Claire swooping in for the, you know, Emperor's Divide, corralling them back into the choke. I think this is kind of what the Direwolves are missing a little bit. Raze had a bit of a shocker, to be honest, in that game. A couple of missed Lee Sin kicks really hurt his team. And I think when you look at the clutch players on the flip side in the Chiefs, they're very good with a lead. I think Razor, Chiefs Rays has thrown 1 this year. Claire's had a couple of moments, but nothing really game-losing. That's what I mean. If you give them gold, they are very, very good at closing out a game. Whereas, you know, Direwolves on the flip side weren't able to do that today.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad though that we got to see a game like in recent history from the Chiefs where they were like behind at some point in the game, because we've only really seen like snowball games. So I like to see a different look from a team where it's just like, yes, we actually can like play this type of game.
And you've heard from, you know, Volt that they believe they have to be able to play both of those styles in a best of 5 with different members on their team for them to win the OPL title. So really good to get another game on stage. You know, this isn't a scrim, to be able to prove that, you know, we can smash early game, we can, you know, play through bot, but you can also still play our weak side scaling, you know, big team fighting, certainly getting success on both.
Support a team who can do both. For now, we're going to send it over to the Catch for the interview.
Support the team who could do both, and the support on that team. Ayla, congratulations. How are you feeling?
Thanks. I'm feeling quite good after that win, but it was nervous at the start.
Yeah, it was a bit of a slower start for you guys than we may have expected. What was the cause of that?
It's just our mid-jungle champions. They are the more scaly type. So Skarner Azir just want to scale compared to their Lee Sin Talia, which just want to win early game. So yeah, that was the main reason.
And how are you finding the rotation on the team in terms of like top? Is that something that you're needing to adjust to, or?
It took some time to adjust to it when we just started doing, but once we got used to it, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah.
So it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, it's a good position to be in. Rusty said before the game started, the momentum is really important at this point in the split for all the teams. Are you feeling that momentum towards MEO now?
Most definitely. After we beat Mammoth, we're feeling really good, and then we just want to close it out without losing a game at all and securing our first seed.
Well, you're certainly on the way as we speak. Did you watch MPL?
The first 2 games? Yes, I did.
Yeah, because I ran into Swiper in the halls, and he gave me some unasked for advice. But as a fellow League stage player and a support, do you have any tips for my Veigar support? Because it was not popping in the way that my carry Zillion was.
One thing I noticed was that you were caging with the champion. You were caging like they were directly in the middle, but instead you should cage them so that they get instantly stunned.
Yeah.
As soon as your cage pops up.
Yeah.
And also, don't forget to use your spells, because sometimes you forgot. But yeah, that's it.
That's it. So if all I need to do is just cage on the edge and then use those spells, then I'm pretty much good. Look, the caging, to be fair, when you cage something, generally you want it away from the edges. You want it to know its bounds. But then, as it finally got pointed out, there was the stun comes in on the edge. So thank you very much. Finally, how much do you reckon a cab from Canberra to here is?
Well, I'm not one who takes cabs usually, but I'd say over 100.
I think you would definitely be right about that. We'll find out for the next game, because Mammoth, of course, have taken that cab to Sydney. They are up next in the for the next game. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Very excited to see you heading towards what looks to be an almost certain MEO position. We're looking forward to it. We'll be back after this break.
Baron down to 4,000 HP. Ayla stepping up to the pit. Get back, tossing out the pebbles. In comes the Emperor's Divide. The front lines pretty much collapse here from the Chiefs. Vibe Panther tries to get into the back line. That's a big call to Meek and get 3 kills. Only getting chased down as well. And Direwolves find themselves a near ace as Only is the only member surviving. Only is in position for a potential impale. And Ayla, this is a big wide flank. And a trap has been sprung. Get back flashes away, but right into the arms of Nautilus. Hopefully that wasn't for the players and just us, as Bayern Panther jumps into the back line, tries to get the kill onto Wraith. Got a lot of damage right now. He will collect the kill. And Swiper chasing after, but this protection's huge right now. He will eventually get put down by the Emperor of the Sands.
That's just a snake. That's a click.
Dredge line onto Ayla. Oli gets to suppress onto Get Back, and they found the carry in the mid lane. Totoro jumping back, trying to juke downwards, flashes the wall. Katsuri leaves the rest of his team, moves down mid lane. Claire throws out the ultimate, but he will eventually take out the Ezreal. Meanwhile, in the back line, Only trading off will get that first kill. Lee Sin down into the Resurrect here in the Guardian Angel. 3 versus 1, tries to jump away, but that will be yet another kill of the Conquering Sand. Finding her feet once again as Get Back comes in, throws out the Wargun to the Zhonya's, and the fight is on. Suppressed down onto Bio Panther, Totoro backing up, but the Emperor of the Sands gets his first look towards Katsuri, trying to juke away from this one, but he's chased after. Swiper connects to the Q, but it's 2 quick kills over to the Chiefs, and it feels like what hope there was may just be over as Claire definitely says that is so as he kills the AD carry. Totoro and Get Back juking up to the top lane, but he will go down as well, and Get Back now in a 1 versus 4 situation. And he's now dead. Claire just getting another kill onto the carry.
You gave me this when we were just 16 years old. Darling, cop up.
A little goes a long way at Macca's. Grab 24 Chicken McNuggets for just $9.95 every day.
Congratulations to the Chiefs. It was a little
Well, shaky.